Hey everybody, welcome to The Takeover. I'm your host, Matt Johnson. On this show, what we've typically tried to do is bring on a variety of guests to join us in a conversation about areas related to your business in the industrial supply world. But today is one of those episodes where it's just going to be me and you. I'm going to talk to you in the camera, and we're going to have a conversation just with ourselves about a topic. Today's topic is hyper-specialization. This is a big word, I know, and it's got a big idea that I wanted to share with you guys. And as you probably know by now, you know that I work with a lot of industrial distributors, and we help them with things like branding and storytelling and website design and e-commerce and sales enablement. And listening to these customers and listening to some of the pain points that they're having, and listening to some of the ways that customers are changing their buying behavior and the ways that we need to evolve, the way that we go to market, has really had me spend a lot of time thinking about this idea of hyper specialization and what it means to not only industrial distributors but manufacturers as well. So I hope this conversation will be helpful. Here's my goal. My goal is to start off by giving you some reasons why I think hyper-specialization, that may not be the last time I do that, but give you some reasons why hyper-specialization is such an important thing, and why it's important to become a hyper-specialist. And then what I'm going to do in the second part of the show is we're going to talk about how to actually do it. So I'm going to give you some tips and some tricks that I've learned along the way, and hopefully those are some things that you can apply in your business and bring back to your leadership team to discuss. So let me start by giving you the first one. So it's my opinion that hyper specialists can compete with Amazon. So there's a lot of talk right now in the industrial supply world about the Amazon effect and how buyers' behavior has changed, and some of the B2C expectations that are being pressured on the B2B world. And a lot of traditional businesses just are not prepared for the concept of providing that type of user experience for their customers. And but I want to say that the future is very, very bright, because whenever there's a big challenge like this in the business world, it's kind of like nature. It's like nature's going to find a way to survive and to thrive no matter what the environment's doing. And that's what we're starting to see in terms of MarTech. A lot of the software solutions that are out there now are becoming so good at positioning you to be able to compete with large companies like Amazon. I'll just give you a couple of examples. So this past spring, I was up in Toronto visiting a software company called Shopify. Shopify is an e-commerce developer or e-commerce platform. It's an open source platform. It's an extremely scalable platform. You can start with a little shop with a few items, and you can build enterprise level B2C e-commerce solution. And they've been partnering up with a company called HubSpot. And HubSpot is sort of like a one and all marketing and sales and customer experience platform. So what we're starting to see is integrations between these major software solutions. And so that was what was announced when I visited Shopify this spring, was their integration with a company like HubSpot. And what that means is that a small to medium sized industrial distributor, retailer, can now compete, at least on the experiential level, with a company like Amazon. So we can have beautiful product listings on an e-commerce website, an easy to use browse functionality, advanced search, be able to filter what you're looking for very easily, and check out in an instant. All of that's possible on Shopify. And then in the customer fulfillment side, you have this unbelievable ecosystem of marketing automation and customer service follow-up and all of these different touch points that creates a really remarkable experience for the end user. So I want to say that specialists more than ever can compete with Amazon. Not only that, but specialists, number two, can make money from Amazon. So here's the deal. Like, if you are a generalist and you sell everything that Amazon sells, you are really competing with Amazon. That is not the position we want to be in. However, if you are a specialist and you source a very select and deep and diverse group of products, then Amazon now becomes a channel for you, and you're able to sell through Amazon. Think of Amazon like selling through a sales rep. They're going to take a cut of the commission, but you're still going to make money on it. So, and people that are going to buy on Amazon are probably not going to buy from you anyway. They're loyal to the Amazon experience, and they want to buy their products there anyway. Why not you take a piece of that as well? Why can't you do that? You certainly can, but again, I think you have to be a specialist, because the specialists are going to command better profit margins on their products, which will allow them to be able to afford to work with Amazon and not directly in opposition with Amazon. Number three, the big boys, and you know who I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the red and blues, the Graingers, the Fastenals of the world. These guys have already specialized, okay? They already have very specialized teams of consultative sales reps that are out in the field. Just as an example, we know that Grainger has they have safety specialists now, so they're not the generalists that you might think they are. They have broken down into major core product categories, and they have specialists in all of those categories, which makes them very difficult to compete with, because obviously they're going to have the better pricing. In some situations, they're going to offer their private label products at a much lower cost. So very difficult to compete with them. But here's how you can: by becoming a hyper specialist. Okay, if they go and they become safety specialists, then what you need to do is become a fall protection specialist, or a hand protection specialist, or a facility safety specialist. You need to think about how to narrow your focus in your product categories, and we're going to talk about that on the other side of our break. Number four, end users want specialists, not generalists, for real problems. Now, I want you to think about this. So let's say that I go to my generalist doctor, and I find out that through some testing that I have a tumor growing in my throat or something like that. Now, I'm not going to go see a generalist to help me with that problem. I'm going to go see a specialist. I'm going to go see the best throat doctor there is, because a specialist has a much deeper knowledge of the topic. They've studied it more in depth. They're able to speak more accurately to the topic, and they have better resources because they only invest their time in that area. And it's very important to realize that your end users today, largely because this buying shift in behavior, the shift in buying behavior, where we're not as loyal as we were, a generation ago. So really what people are looking for is the best solution, not necessarily the tried and true solution. So you may be a great generalist distributor, for example, but if I want the best fall protection products and the best selection for my team, then I'm going to go see a distributor who is a fall protection expert. And that's the way our end users are starting to think. They're starting to think, who do I go to for certain things? And if they can't look at you and say, that's my fall protection guy, or that's my glove guy, and then we might have a real problem. And the fifth reason why this is so important is it's a common phrase we say around here: if you confuse, you lose. This is a big problem today, because what's happened is the internet is where people go. Your prospects and your customers are going to the internet first before they buy your products, before they order anything from you. They're researching, they're shopping, they're doing their homework on the internet first and foremost. And if your message is not clear as to why you exist and the unique value proposition that you bring, then the fact of the matter is that they will go somewhere else where that is clear to them. So many times, I've seen, distributors' websites that frankly, they just look like any other website. And we really want to try to encourage our customers. Some of them don't want to listen because this is the way they've always done it. But we try to encourage our customers to think about your unique value proposition and to make that very clear, so clear that even a caveman could understand what it is that you do and how you help them. So that's really the 5 key areas that we start thinking about when we think about how important it is to be a specialist. Your competition is all around you, and it's growing every day. What we find today is the barrier to entry into your market is much lower. Okay, there's lots of companies that specialize in helping specialize. See what I did there? There's lots of companies that help businesses start and get into the industry on very low commitment level. They'd only have to buy a certain amount of stock, or maybe they don't have to stock anything. There's people who are creating e-commerce distribution businesses, in their spare room of their house with the internet. So these are some things that have really been impacting our world, and I wanted to talk about what we can do to actually implement some of these things in our business. And we're going to do that right after these messages. We're going to take a quick break, and I'll see you on the other end. We were made for this industry. We've been learning, listening, and adapting for over 15 years. But I feel like we've only just begun. From the beginning, our mission was to help industrial suppliers grow their business. Today, the world is spinning faster than ever before, and we refuse to slow down because nothing less than the future is at stake. For many of our clients, we are the bridge between yesterday and tomorrow, helping them seize the moment today. They say tigers starve last. Are you hungry? Are you playing offense, attacking the market and driving change? Or are you retreating to the boardroom, trying to figure out how to survive? Everything we do is about building relationships and brands that stand the test of time. So yeah, we're crazy passionate about helping you transform your business. That's our legacy. What's yours?
When ordinary signage won't do, armor up with a protection that's powerful enough to survive any environment. Duck Armor by AccuForm. Designed to protect against scratches, scrapes, and impacts. Built to endure damaging chemical washing, graffiti resistant, and able to withstand UV yellowing or fading, plus cold weather cracking. Duck Armor is the original liquid laminate coating, pioneered by AccuForm. Don't fall for a decoy.
Huh?
Get Duck Armor. We don't send strong men into battle without armor. Get the sign coating you know will last against harsh abrasions, tough chemicals, taggers, and extreme environments. Duck Armor is tough enough for scratches, scrapes, impacts, weather, washing, sun, graffiti, and... What are you doing?
I was just gonna...
What? No. Why would you do that? Like all liquid laminate signs, Duck Armor's ultra-hard surface cleans easily, like water off a duck's back, and it withstands tough conditions, keeping your sign and message clear. But only Duck Armor can protect more than your signs, with over 90,000 products armed and ready. Not like that. Don't pay for protective coating on cheap sign material. Duck Armor gives you superior coating on premium signs at no extra cost. All the protection without the bill. Your facility deserves the best protection on the best signs. Durable and resilient. Light as a feather. Duck Armor has you covered.
All right, guys, welcome back. So today we're talking about how to become a hyper specialist. And I spent the first part of the conversation really talking about the need and kind of the why it's important to be a specialist. Whether you're a manufacturer or whether you're a distributor, it's important to be known for something. And as a marketing specialist, one of the things that I run into is if a company doesn't really have a unique value proposition, it's very difficult for me to help market them. And so what I've been focusing on is not only trying to teach people why they need to become a hyper specialist, but how to do that. So I've got five more points here that I'm going to share with you that's going to help us understand how to do this, how to become a hyper specialist. So the first one is to identify your top 3 verticals. So which 3 industries do you uniquely serve? You cannot serve them all. You cannot serve construction and manufacturing and municipalities and it's impossible for you to serve them all because your messaging will not be relevant to them all. Not everyone is going to like doing business with you. And this is something that I've had to learn over the course of the years of trying to market myself and my business. It's okay that you're not the right fit for someone. It's okay that they like if you're a small industrial distributor, it's okay if your customers want the big box store to do business with them because maybe they're more aligned with them. Big likes big, but think of all the small business out there who maybe they really value what you value. Maybe they are a family-owned operation. Maybe they have similar similar values. And so whatever it is, I want to make sure that we recognize that it's good. It's good to be different. And I think that's the hard thing to do because everyone around you is doing the same thing and you feel really self-conscious about stepping out and committing to, say, a specific vertical. So I'd like to encourage you to just pick 3. Pick those 3, and I bet you that if you look at your existing customer list and you find your top customers and you think about what industries they're in, I bet you there naturally is going to be some consistency there, and you're going to know what those 3 verticals are. But pick 3 and focus your messaging, your website design, and your advertising efforts around those core verticals. This is really important. You don't have to go to every trade show, every chamber event. Just go where your customers are, your 3 customer groups. Advertise where they are at, and make sure that your messaging on your website is tailored to those people. You really want your website, and this is just a little bit of an aside about website design and content marketing, but you really want your content on your website to actually repel some customers. Okay, like if they are looking for, crazy inventory and they're looking for the cheapest price, but you're not the cheapest price guy, then you want to make that clear. You don't want them wasting your time and disappointing them. So that's really that's really important. Is it's not just important to identify those verticals, but to create messaging that attracts and also repels people that are not your ideal customer. All right, number 2 is to identify your top 3 horizontals. Okay, so we're going to focus on 3 verticals, but I want you to also focus on 3 horizontals. Okay, you cannot say that I am a specialist in these industries without saying that you're also a specialist in these categories. So what I mean by horizontals is really product categories. So which product categories are you going to manufacture if you're a manufacturer, or sell if you're a distributor, that set you apart from your competition? Again, when you try to do everything, you stretch yourself too thin. You do not have a very clear value proposition. Nobody knows who you are and what you do to make a difference. And that is very difficult to help you stand out. Do you think that just because your competitor makes a product that you have to make it as well? Remember what your mother used to say? If all the other boys are doing it, does that mean you have to do it as well? So listen to your mother and think about that when the next time you go to develop a product or copy a product that maybe your competitor has. A lot of manufacturers today in our industry, sadly, a lot of what they do for new product development comes down to imitation and copying. So there's a lot of copying going on. I see a glove that is a neat technology, so I make gloves, so I'll copy that glove. Or my competitor now sells power tools, so I'm going to get in the power tool world. So that's something we need to consider when it comes to developing your horizontals, is having the courage of restraint. And I'd like to encourage you guys to go ahead and restrain yourselves. Pick the 3 product categories that you know best and stick with those. Here's what I'd like to say too, is that if you're a distributor, it doesn't mean that you cannot sell a wide variety of products, okay? It doesn't mean that you can't sell more than 3 categories of products. I just want to make sure that that's clear right off the bat. Because that would be very difficult, wouldn't it, for you to have a customer come to you and say, do you have this? And you have to say, no, I don't carry that. I don't work in that world. Because we really do want to say yes to our customers whenever possible. But let me encourage you with this. We live in a world where so many vendors, so many manufacturers will drop ship for you, and they'll ship you smaller quantities, and so you may not specialize in a product category. It doesn't mean you can't still sell it. So it just is not going to be your focus. So for example, if I specialize in fall protection equipment and I don't really do much with gloves, but I know that the guys who are buying my fall protection equipment, sometimes need gloves, well, yeah, I can source you some gloves as well, and it's just kind of an add-on to my core competency. That's important, I think, is to identify those core horizontals to complement your core verticals. Now, obviously, this kind of goes without saying, but those core horizontals should align well with those core verticals. So if you're serving the construction industry, what are the categories of products that they need the most? What are the areas where they need the most help in terms of service or consultation or repair, maybe even if you got into that side of the business? So those are some important things to think about. And then number 3 is, with only 3 horizontals, you can take your merchandising deeper than your competitors. Okay, so what I mean by that is, I see a lot of distributors out there that carry, a few products in each product category, and so their concept is they have a lot of buckets of products, but they have very shallow buckets. Okay, and what I'm saying to you is that when you only have a few buckets, your buckets can be very, very deep. And so that means that we can work with more manufacturers, you can offer more options to your customers, and those manufacturers, by the way, this is a common theme in distribution, the manufacturers are begging the distributors to carry more of their products. But, the distributors, if they're selling such a wide variety of products, they just want to keep it to a small minimum. They don't want to manage that many product SKUs. And so when you have 3 large buckets with deep product options, you end up having maybe as many SKUs as your competitor, but they're all in those 3 specialized horizontals. And this is really huge today, because we live in a world where there's a lot of innovation, there's a lot of new products, there's new manufacturers entering the industry all the time. They have really cool products, and it's a shame that a lot of those never get out. And it's a lot of times because of these old school relationships between the manufacturers and distributors. They just don't allow the distributors to bring on new manufacturers that honestly could maybe serve the customer, the end user, better than the options they currently have. So I want to encourage you that, to think about the kind of merchandising you can do if you only had 3 horizontals. Now, the 4th point is that with only 3 horizontals and 3 verticals, your marketing can be laser focused. And wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't it be great to know always exactly who you are and your message to always be consistent? it's very difficult when you are serving multiple verticals and have so many product categories. Very difficult to run marketing campaigns. How do I know? Well, by experience. It's extremely challenging because here's the deal. Let's say that you serve the construction industry and transportation and energy and facility safety, and you ask us to create a campaign. Well, to really do it justice, we have to create this campaign for your, for 1/8 of your customers, and the other 7 groups of customers are totally getting neglected. And if we don't do a good job segmenting those lists, then everybody ends up getting this message that is not relevant to them. And that's one of the biggest faux pas that I've seen in digital marketing especially, is that when you're creating a message to a vertical group, that message is still getting out to all these other vertical groups, and they don't care. They don't care that you're talking about construction because they're a manufacturing company. And of course, when you have those few categories, now you can run very targeted campaigns. You can run a campaign that crosses a bunch of different channels: social media and blogging, and the website, and in person, and maybe even a physical in-store campaign. All of these things can be synced up, and you can focus on that channel or that category. And what's great is when you blend them together. It's when you take the categories that you do well and you market them to a specific vertical. Extremely effective, highly targeted marketing converts much better than the kind of blast marketing that is so prevalent in our industry. All right, number 5, as we're kind of hitting the home stretch here, with only 3 horizontals and 3 verticals, guess what? Your business operations become easier to manage and scale. And that is music to your ears if you're looking for ways to grow. It's very difficult today to manage product data. It's very difficult to hire the right type of people that can really serve your customers in a specialized way. Okay? One of the pain points that I've seen in sort of my background in the safety industry is the trying to train safety distribution salespeople how to really come across as experts in their field, because it's very difficult to know fall protection, instrumentation, PPE. It's very difficult to know, all of the ins and outs of those industries. It's difficult to know the regulations. It's difficult to know how to service, how to use those products effectively. The amount of training resources that goes into distributors' desire to make that happen is staggering. And you wouldn't have to invest nearly as many resources if you had a smaller horizontal specialty. So if, for example, you were the fall protection expert, I keep on using that as the example, but it could be anything. It could be power tools, it could be fasteners, it could be integrated supply, might be your specialty. Whatever it is, if you focus on that area, then now you have a training system where you can bring people in, you know how you do it, you've done it for other customers, you can repeat it, document it, and then invest in training in only that 1 or 2 categories. And of course, it'd be smart, wouldn't it, to have specialists that oversee each of those areas who are true thought leaders. Can you possibly stock that much inventory? It becomes difficult when you have to continually tell your customers, sorry, I don't have that in stock, because even though I said that I had it on my website, or I said I had it in my catalog, well, I don't actually have it on hand. I have to get it from my manufacturer. It makes it much more easy to stock things and get them out to your customers as quickly as possible. And of course, that's what they're expecting, a la the Amazon effect. Will you be able to answer questions and service customers of all product categories? You're probably not going to be able to do that. I know a lot of distributors who rely heavily on their manufacturer or sales reps to come in and be those thought leaders for them. But your manufacturer or sales rep is not always around. And honestly, it takes the buying authority out of your hands and really focuses it on the manufacturer. And I'm speaking to a distributor now. I'm saying, wouldn't it be better if you were the thought leader and that you could prescribe the solution to the customer rather than the manufacturer dictating that? I think that would be refreshing. From sales and marketing to production and customer service, the more specialized you are, the easier it is to onboard new employees and grow your business. That is another point that is very important. So a lot of companies, they don't know how to get to the next level because they have processes, or they have lack of processes in so many different arenas, and it's just too difficult. It's too much of a time suck to document the processes, to create training paths and onboarding procedures for everything that they do. It's too difficult to train all of your sales reps on all of the products. You end up spending so much money on that. If you had those select verticals, you could focus on those areas. And, kind of as a closing, I just want to say that, this is not a pipe dream anymore. This is possible today because of the internet. So many of you might be thinking, well, Matt, that sounds well and good. It sounds like it'd be great to be a hyper specialist, but unfortunately, I'm a local company, and I rely on local business, and there's just not enough market for me to become a specialist like you're describing. And I would say you're right. You're right in that sense if you are only thinking local. If you're thinking small and thinking local, you're 100% right. You can't do it. But the internet has made it possible. You no longer need to be super local. You can serve customers in much larger regions very easily. And I mentioned before that the technology is there. We have B2C and B2B e-commerce solutions. We have the marketing automation to create a customer experience that rivals that of Amazon even. And I know a lot of good distributors who are doing this right now and having tremendous success as a hyper specialist. On top of that, my own business, SpinStack, follows the same model. So just to give you an idea, our three verticals are industrial manufacturers, wholesalers, and distributors. All right. So we do not, if somebody came in off the street and they said, I'm a nonprofit company, I love what you guys are doing, I'd like to ask if we can maybe work together, and I would have to say I'm sorry, I'd love to entertain that, but I'm really committed. My whole team is put together, been trained, and are committed to serving just these three verticals. In addition to that, we offer three horizontals. Those horizontals are traditional marketing, e-commerce, and digital marketing. So we don't try to do a lot of PR. We don't try to do customer loyalty. We don't do events and stuff like that. We are focused on those three things: traditional things like catalogs and flyers and trade show booths, and e-commerce, website design and development, and digital marketing, inbound content marketing, and social media. Those are those three categories where we have to be very good at. We cannot possibly do everything. And I think that is the important takeaway, is that if you want to be great at something, you have to pick a specialty. And I would just leave you with that thought. Pick a specialty, pick those three verticals, pick the three horizontals, and really start to craft your business around those areas. You'll find that your messaging will be much more on point. You'll find that your customers will understand who you are. You'll attract more new business, and it'll be easier for you to scale and grow your business. So that was our conversation for today. I hope that it was helpful. I'll just close by saying, if you would like to discuss your go-to-market strategy, the way to do that is fairly simple. Just go to my website, spinstack.com, and schedule a consultation there on the website. Hopefully it's very clear on where you go to schedule a consultation, and request me, and I'd be happy to have a conversation with you about how to structure your go-to-market strategy. So guys, that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in, and have an awesome week. I'll see you next time.